afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, anybody that's joined us on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Welcome to Sheer Edge Training. Today we are talking to Jack Lear, the Money Motivator. Hi, Jack. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Karen. Thank you very much for having me today.
It's our pleasure. We're looking forward to chatting to you. Today is all about personal finance. So there's lots of things to cover in this area, but we're just going to talk to Jack for about 20-25 minutes. And then afterwards you can ask us questions and Jack will try and answer as best he can. So Jack, for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to where you are today and what's coming up for you next?
Yeah, sure, Karen. So, well, I've really dedicated the last 7 years of my life, believe it or not, to personal finance, or all matters personal finance, which is, on reflection, perhaps a little bit sad, but hey ho, everyone's different, aren't they? So I started my career working in a bank. Boo, I know, but lots of us did. And from about 2014, discovered the worlds of financial planning and dedicated again time to become qualified in financial planning, to start helping people with their financial journey and positioning the pieces for their journey and path to financial success, whatever that might look like for them. And right now I'm a chartered financial planner advising clients within a practice called HJ Wealth Planning based in Harborne. And more recently, I have set up, I'm not even sure what to call it really, a kind of social enterprise type thing, the Money Motivator, which is really just coming from a good place, in so much that I'm helping people to understand elements of personal finance that just aren't taught to us at any level of our education or through our life journey, you know, and having a bit of a different angle on it, perhaps thinking about what I call the holistic wheel of health. So thinking about financial health, but also within the context of mental health and physical well-being. So yeah, does that answer the question? Give you a good background?
Thank you. Yeah, I was really interested in the holistic wheel of health, because I know you spoke about that the other day, and it's interesting how all elements, so your business, your finances, and your mental health kind of do all link in together. So that's really fascinating. So when we talk about personal finance, what is it? Like, what does that mean? What we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, and actually, I hadn't really reflected upon what it meant until quite recently, or what it was. And the definition is a little bit lame, to be honest. It's kind of very product based. You know, it's your mortgage, it's your bank account, your savings, your investments, personal loans, debt, all of those things. But for me, that obviously focuses on the finance side. My take is more on the personal side, and is thinking about real life goals and ambitions. You know, the real deep questions that we have in life, and personal finance is a mechanism to facilitate those goals and objectives, in my view and in my mind. So to you know, bring that to life when you have a business, or whatever you do in your career, however you choose to spend your time, it's to achieve something. You know, there's an ambition down the line one day that you want to become this, or you want to, I don't know, send your kids to private education, or you want to save up and buy a car. There's something real and tangible there. Personal finances is certainly sort of one part of that picture to get you to where you want to be in life.
I think that's what the first thing when I spoke to you, that's what we discussed, wasn't it? And it's, you got to see personal finances, it's a goal to get you somewhere, isn't it? So if you want to own X or go to X, how do you look at your personal financial situation? How is that going to get you to where you are? So I think that's really interesting to look at it as a goal as well, that, you know, if we earn this much money, or we've got this much savings, how can we use that to get to what we want to do? So yeah, that's interesting, I think, for everybody.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely.
I suppose another question is, so why should we all be concerned about our personal finances? Because we've probably all got a bank account, we've probably all got a bit of savings, we might not all have a pension. So why do you think it is really important for us to, I suppose, now pay even more attention to our personal finances?
Yeah, so I came across an interesting quote the other day. So not mine, but it goes something like this: that not all life decisions revolve around money, but all life decisions have some kind of financial implication, which I suppose starts to paint a picture as to why personal finance is so important. And thinking about your financial plan is so important. You know, you really want to be ensuring that all of your hard work is being, it's for a purpose, it's for a reason. The money that you are making and creating needs to be enjoyed today, but you obviously need to be mindful that tomorrow is coming. So I think, getting to the heart of why this stuff's important, this is part of your journey, and the personal finance stuff is those pieces that you can put together to get you to your life goals, and along that journey effectively. Why now more so than ever? Look, I mean, everybody's in a slightly different position now. Certainly need to acknowledge that. And within the audience, within people that are listening, there's going to be unique circumstances. But what has happened now is we've all had a big reset button push, and we've had a change forced upon us. Now, the positive side of that is, of course, that we've got an opportunity to reflect and think about what is important to us and what is valuable to us. When I have conversations with my friends, colleagues, family, and clients, there is a trend that actually some of these simple things in life are evidently more important than some of the other aspects of life where we were perhaps allocating money previously, and society goes a long way to encourage us to consume and encourage us to spend, encourage us to build up debt. But now we've slowed down, we've had an opportunity to reflect. Those things, maybe they made you happy for a day or two or a week, but lasting happiness really comes from those things that are truly valuable to you. And they're often the simple things in life.
It's true. And I think, when we first went into lockdown, I think we were all a bit angry and apprehensive and wanting to get back to work, but actually after however long we've been in it now, it's a really good time to reflect on what is important, like, do I want to go on holiday next year, or do I want to do this, do I want to buy that brand new designer coat, or actually do I want to invest in something else? So I think it's given us a chance, you're right, to sit back and reflect and go, I've got time to think about all these things. One thing I was just going to ask is, so say you are still being paid and you've got a salary coming in, what should I do with my money to start with? So is there anything you can tell us to say you should be like X amount should go here, X amount can go there, or does it not work like that?
Yeah, there's certainly no magic formula in terms of divvying up surplus income to pots, if you like, and I call them pots. It's quite old-fashioned, I suppose, but it's a really good way to think about your money. It keeps things simple. So if you have a goal and a saving ambition, I don't know, to build up some savings to buy a property, in 5 years' time, and that's a pot. The longer term stuff, like building up to financial independence, also known as retirement, is another pot sometime in the future. But allocating or thinking in pots can really help you allocate money proportionately to those goals. Now everyone's going to weight those slightly differently, and there's certainly some psychology that comes into this, that the shorter term goals that we have certainly bear greater weight and value to us than the longer term ones, things that we can see in the shorter term. So it's when you're thinking about divvying up surplus income, the key is actually having surplus income in the first place, of course. But if let's accept that we have surplus income at the moment, divvying up between those short and long-term goals, there's no magic formula. I'd suggest that the majority of your savings going to go towards the shorter term goals, saving for the next car, putting money aside for your children's education, saving for your children's first property purchase. Maybe you want to give them a deposit. They're going to have slightly higher weightings than your retirement that's maybe 20-30 years into the future. But that's not to say you should neglect that. So no magic formula. I think let's rule of thumb something like you're going to be weighting 75% towards your shorter term goals and 25% towards those really longer term ones. But what's interesting perhaps about the audience that might be listening today is that you might be in a position where you do not have a company funded pension scheme. And this is a savings vehicle for your really long-term, one-day financial independence type stuff. But that might not be, in place. You might not be funding that at the moment. And if you're not, I would recommend that you address that as soon as possible. If you have some income, you need to be putting some aside for the longer term. If you ask me how much, I'm going to say more. If you're doing it already, you're asking what I should be doing, it's going to be more. If you're not doing it already, it should be start. So keeping it simple certainly helps.
It is difficult for people, I think, like where we are now, to look at your money and think, oh, we should invest that in the future, because everybody's probably just anxious about now. But you are right that we should take that step back and think we need to think like short, medium and long term of where our finances are going to go. But I know that there'll be questions coming to you about that as well. And the clients that you deal with now, what kind of questions are they asking you at the moment? I know you can't share names or anything, but is there like a kind of a thread or a trend of questions that you just see cropping up all the time?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. And so this is wearing my hat as a financial planner now, and a professional financial planner, as opposed to Jack Lear, the money motivator, trying to get people engaged with their finances and taking control. But my clients, how to position this, right? So when you pay an advisor fees, the majority of fees that you're paying that advisor are actually to manage you as a person. Yeah, the capital markets in this world, e.g. the best companies in the world that you can invest in to grow your wealth, which is really important, they are going to continue to deliver. The capital markets are never broken. Investment strategy isn't broken. What needs to be managed, and the biggest risk to your long-term financial success in wealth creation, is yourself. So typical questions that come to me is, should I sell? The markets have dropped 30%. That's really scary. And I'm a human too. And I'm fully invested in the markets as well, in the same way that my clients are. And if you're not a bit scared about this kind of stuff, then there's something probably a bit wrong with you. But I'm there to tell you, no, you should not sell. That's a really expensive mistake. Yeah, so they're the sort of questions that I get. I think it's much more behavioral than technical, or sort of specific technical type questions. It's more about the behavior of people.
Do you think, so with your venture that you're doing now, the Money Motivator, do you think people need reassurance from talking to somebody like yourself, that they know what they should do, but they just want somebody to say that's the right thing to do, and just to reassure them that actually the decisions that they think they should make are the right ones to make? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolute perfect sense all the time. Everybody needs reassurance, don't they? Not just in finance, but in every aspect of your life. You need a feedback loop, don't you? Otherwise you have no, it's like having a compass, isn't it? You need something to know that you're on track. And reassurance is just a human thing to want. Personal finance is no different. And certainly something that people need in some format or another. A trusted advisor, it doesn't have to be a professional financial planner, by the way. It can be your partner, or it can be somebody that you trust to reassure you is really important. I think what's really daunting about finance and personal finance, and perhaps why we struggle to engage with it, or certainly take action, is because it seems so overwhelming and complex and big. Where do you start in the world of personal finance? That's a big question, isn't it? A barrier, I think, for a lot of people engaging. And my view is always to try and keep things simple. And again, I acknowledge everyone's going to be on a different part of their journey through life, so their financial needs are going to be slightly different. But the principles that you can apply from day one all the way through to, through into retirement, hold true. And those principles and those habits and behaviors are going to be the driving force behind your financial future success, without a shadow of a doubt.
I think as well, a lot of people don't like talking about money, do they? Like it's still a bit of a taboo subject.
Yes.
To one of my friends yesterday about this, and you almost don't want to talk about it. It's like, oh no, like you kind of skirt around the subject all the time. And, you know, and we said yesterday, didn't we? It's like mental health almost, that you still don't really want to talk about it. We're not altogether comfortable with, I suppose, being open with what's happening with ourselves. You know, like you don't want people to judge you maybe about your financial situation, the fact that you maybe don't understand why you should have a pension and what the interest rates are and what that even means. You know, you may worry that people go, gosh, she doesn't know that, you know.
Yeah, totally. And not only are we let down by the system, you know, society not teaching us about financial education, there's these cultural norms that exist where it is taboo to talk about your personal financial situation. And this is exacerbated by marketing and the consumerist sort of society that we live in, that encourages us to do things now, to buy now, pay later. No, you know, that's really dangerous. I can't tell you how dangerous that is to your future financial success. It's the opposite of the behaviors you need to be doing and implementing day to day. But we're told it's okay. We're reassured that it's okay. Yeah, so we need some kind of balance in society, and I hope that, you know, some voices like mine can start to bring a bit of balance in that discussion and just make people think, and also know that actually there is a lot within their sphere of control, lots of levers that they can pull to help them secure their financial success, whether they're business owners, whether they're employed, you know, whatever their personal situation is. As I say, a lot of the principles hold true.
So what can we all be doing now to protect our finances for the future? What would you advise us all to start doing or think about doing to protect us as we're, you know, getting it towards, you know, the next 10 years maybe?
Yeah, really good question. Again, everyone's going to be at a different stage of their journey. So if I could talk about this all day, but you're not, you know, everyone's got better things to do, I'm sure, than talk about their personal finances all day. So keeping it really simple, you have to have an exceptional understanding of your day-to-day spending. You can't become financially successful without having this clarity around your budget, you know. And people sort of say, oh, you know, budgets are boring. This stuff's too important for it to be boring. You have to get to grips with this. And you have to realize as well that your budget is actually a forecasting tool. It's not, what did I do last month? It's, what am I going to do this month to put every pound that I've worked so hard to get to work, allocating it to areas that are valuable to you. Yeah, so this is something that all of us, I think, now can do, more so than ever, perhaps because of the situation we're in, is really think about what we are spending our money on. And so I'm indulging in a bit of the American Office at the moment on Amazon Prime, as I'm sure many people are using these services. So there's this really funny, I find it funny, graph on there, and it was a graph of spending, Michael Scott's spending.
Yeah.
And it went something like, you know, things you need. Yeah. And it was like a bar graph, and yeah, there's a little entry for the things you need. Then there's things that you want. Yeah, so that's kind of things you want to spend your money on, things you might want to do or have or own. And then there was another bar that was things that nobody needs and nobody wants, but you're still spending your money on, right? So for me, if I was in a position now and had a little bit of time, didn't know where to start, I would look at where I've been allocating my money over the last couple of months. And I'd be thinking about categorizing them into things like need and want, or, you know, required and desired. What is it that I need to keep the family going? What is it that I want because I enjoy that? And then that category of, hey, what was I thinking? You know, I've made mistakes with my spending as well. Yeah. They're the things, the obvious quick wins, aren't they? You know, you've got to cut them out. So spending less than you earn is fundamental to your financial journey. And a really simple way to think about this is think about financial planning or personal finances more broadly as a car. Yeah, you know, the engine to that car, that's equivalent to the financial markets, the investing stuff, which is the glamorous side of personal finance. Yeah, that's great. That's the engine that's going to create wealth for you over the long term, so you can be financially independent. Yeah, it's really important also. There's a reason why cars are built with airbags. Yeah, because if something goes wrong, you want that safety blanket there. You want to be okay in a case of a disaster. That's where you can do a lot of work to build up some cash savings around you, but also think about protecting your life, your income, against those curveballs that life can throw at us. They're your airbags. But actually, none of that works. You're not going to get anywhere unless you've got fuel to put in the car. And the fuel for your financial success is the surplus income that you're able to generate. Now, I'm not going to stand here and preach about how you can increase your income. You know, that's somebody else's expertise. But you all have levers to control how much you spend. So I'd certainly be allocating some energy to that.
Well, I know my spending's decreased because Costa's not open, so I can't go to Costa anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a need? Is that a want? That's where that falls into.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong, is there?
No, I think it is brilliant to chat to you, because this is time that we've got now to actually sit back and take stock of what we've got. And I know, there's lots of people out there that are freelance and are not working, so this is a perfect chance again for them to sit back and go, right, I've got this much in my bank, I need to make it last, I need to do this, what else can I do to kind of generate more income, and then how can I invest in, how can I use the money I've got to invest in other things. That's another thing, actually. What do you think about investment in, so if you're, say for example, you're a freelance event manager and at the moment you're not working, what are your thoughts on actually using some of your savings to either train yourself, or retrain yourself, upskill yourself, invest in the business, and either do websites or something like that to kind of is that worthwhile doing?
Yeah. Good question. Yeah. So where to start with this? Okay. So some value, probably my biggest values, or some of my biggest values, are stewardship and development. So I invest in myself all the time. Not all of that has to cost money, but it does cost time. Yeah. And time, is equivalent. We only get to spend time once, don't we? But investing in yourself is really important. And if you think about your journey to date, wherever you may be at the moment, you've got to think, what is it that's got you there? And it's you. Your intellectual capital has got you to where you are today. So projecting forward, it seems logical that a good investment would be in yourself to get you to the next stage. I think really important. But when you're thinking about investing in times like this, if expenditure is low, it's got to be balanced, of course, with managing your own cash flow, having a real good understanding of what your bills are and what those things that you need to spend money on, to make sure that's secure. Because you don't want to be taking on debt now. Yeah, and you don't want to be seeking returns from investment propositions that seem too good to be true, because guess what? They're too good to be true. But no matter how much people say that, there are individuals that always fall for these effectively fraudulent investment schemes. So yeah, invest in yourself. I think that's a great idea. Invest in your business, invest in your, things are going to change, aren't they? We were talking before this about adapting and evolving for the new world, whatever that looks like. And now's a great time to think about that, positioning yourself to make the most of whatever the future opportunities look like. But yeah, we're probably going a bit off piste in terms of my area of expertise here.
It's all good though, all good. But no, just wanted to say thank you for your time today, Jack. We do appreciate it, and it's been really interesting. I think for everybody that's listening in and watching it, I think it's just good to get a bit of reassurance as well, that it's okay to stop and take time to think about this. It's okay to chat to family, friends, professional advisors about money, and it's okay not to understand it as well, because I think that's one thing that a lot of people are anxious about. Is like, I don't know what to do. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't know what to do. Ask somebody and don't be worried about it. So thank you for that today. Before we let you go, Gino's going to join us on the chat, and hopefully we've got a few questions from our lovely audience. So hi Gino.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Good.
Hi, Gino.
Thank you very much for the chat, Jack. Really interesting. One of the takeaways I'll be taking is you only get to spend time once. That's a really nice saying. I like that one, and it is 100% true. We do have a couple of questions from other participants that are joining us. The first one, just to move backwards a little bit in the conversation, we made a few small comments on it, but just a little bit more if you can, Jack. The question is, how will pensions be affected after all of this pandemic situation? Should we be looking to invest differently, or are pensions still the surefire way for the future?
Yeah, so let's unwind that question a little bit. So let's go back to, so a pension, okay, what is a pension? A pension is just a long-term savings vehicle, isn't it, for your retirement, okay, and it's got some bells and whistles attached to it. You can't access your money for a period of time, but you put money into it, you get free money from the government for putting money into it, so that's really cool. Do you need to change anything now, or is now even a good time to change an investment strategy? No, I don't believe it is. You want to stay the course. The metaphor is, you know, the ship has sunk and we're in the life raft, yeah, at the moment, market wise. This was probably true more a month ago or so. We're in the life raft. Don't jump out of the life raft now into the water. Wait until we're back on shore and reassess your goals and objectives then. So right now is not a time to panic. Thinking about the behavior again of people, staying the course now, staying calm is the right thing to do. Within a lot of people's pensions, like pensions are vastly different and an area of personal finance that is one of those more complex areas, but what sits within them is investments. You know, just you've got exposure to the best companies in the world within your pension. Yeah, the best companies in the world, and your retirement, your pension plan is there to provide you growth and wealth over a period of time. Don't you think investing in like the best companies in the world is a pretty good way to grow wealth over a period of time? Has anything changed? Have your objectives changed? You know, do you want to retire at some different time now? You know, so no, not a good time to change now, but a great time to engage.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. Definitely. Another question that we had was, a rule of thumb for savings. You know, would you say, is there a percentage or a formula that a person can use for how much money they should be saving or could be saving against their salary for planning for the future?
Yeah, more, whatever it is, more. And if you're doing more, do more again. But, you know, that's obviously going to help. For many people who are starting to engage in savings, actually the biggest thing is that you start. And once you've started, maybe make a personal commitment to yourself to increase that saving by 10% each year. Yeah, that's a nice way to start. There are schools of thought out there as to how much you should be saving each year. Some of them go on, well, how old are you? Yeah, roughly, if you can be saving within your pensions and investments and your cash savings, that as a percentage of your net income, that's really good. That can be a bit scary, I think, for a lot of people, right? If you haven't started on this journey, you just need to start. You need to think about your budget, see what surplus income you've got, engage in planning, engage in visualizing what you want life to look like. What are those goals? Think about how important they are, and just start saving and investing.
Well, I think
so. No magic answer there.
No. I certainly didn't expect there to be a magic answer, but yeah, I definitely think I can curb some of my frivolous spending on Amazon and eBay to help in my savings goals. Most definitely.
I think what's probably really important to think about here, in terms of, you know, why is investing important? It's important fundamentally because the lifestyle that no doubt a lot of you want in the future is not going to be provided for by the state. Yeah, it's not. The state pension is good. It's actually a very good benefit, overrated or underrated, I should say, but it's not going to be enough. If you don't do anything and you rely on just some savings in your bank for cash, then your biggest enemy there is inflation. You know, it's the cost of living going up. You think bank rates, just keeping it quite simple here, bank rates, you know, savings rates, 0.5%, and long-term inflation 2.5%. You're losing money every year that you keep invested in cash. Whereas something like So the American stock market in 1972 to today has grown 28 times. Yeah, 28-fold growth over that period. Now that's the sort of period that you're going to be invested in your pension. So fundamentally important to understand that you need to take action. You need to be an adult about this and start allocating money for your future self.
Sorry, Karen. That leads in. There was one final question, Karen. You can tell me if you think we got enough time for this one, and it was more of a scenario basis than anything else. It's a bit of a long one, so bear with me. A husband and wife have managed to save approximately £50,000, and they're currently between the ages of 40 and 50 years old. So they're getting close to retirement age, and they're looking at what they should do with the cash that they've got in the bank. I appreciate that everybody's circumstances are different, and you certainly can't give a detailed plan of what they should do in the time that we've got. But what would be your initial reactions to a scenario such as that? Where would you initially look to help them invest or manage their savings?
Yeah, good question, and probably not too dissimilar to the sort of things that I can see as a financial planner professionally. How old did you say the couple were? Sorry, in this scenario,
they're between 40 and 50 years old, but I suppose we could say sort of. Yeah. I suppose middle age would probably be the phrase that people would put on that.
Yeah, sure. So look, you've got you're halfway through your life, aren't you? So if you think about we're approaching a time now when we're talking about retirement periods of 3 decades. So you've got to have enough money to finance your lifestyle for 3 decades. Not only are we alive for 3 decades, we're actually really healthy for the vast majority of that, in a lot of cases.
Sure.
So when people come to me as a financial planner in that kind of scenario, you've got to really be dialing up your focus to your savings and your pensions for retirement. Because £50,000 of cash, that sounds that's a reasonable, good amount of money. Of course, it's all relative. If you're spending a lot of money, if your annual expenditure is £100,000, then £50,000, of cash is probably the bare minimum of what you want to be keeping in cash. If you're only spending £10,000 a year, £50,000 of cash is probably too much to be had in cash. So you might want to be allocating that to investments. But look, if you're middle-aged, building up to financial independence, a time when you can choose what you want to do with your life, whether you want to continue working or not, you've got to be putting money aside for retirement and the future, and on a regular basis. There's nothing more powerful than monthly savings and investments over the long term. That's what I'd be thinking in terms of doing something with the £50,000 of cash. Again, it depends what you're spending. It's really important that we keep enough cash aside, that we don't allocate everything to financial markets, because in times like this, we realize how fragile life can be, and we realize how important cash is, in the short term. So you certainly don't want to be all in financial markets. You've got to have a cash buffer there as well. But 40 to 50, you've got a halfway through your life, a long time to save and invest, and a long time for your savings and investments to last you.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for that. That's all the questions that we have. Karen, back over to you.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you, Jack, again, from all of us at Shero's Training. It's been really interesting. I know. So now, all week, I'm going to be looking at my financial situation and probably calling you tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, drop me a message.
Run this past you, because I think probably for me the biggest take home is actually use this time wisely. Think about it. You don't get this time back again, so why don't we use it to look at where we want to go, what are our goals, what are our, where do we want to be? And I think from the freelancer self-employed perspective as well, this is a really good time to invest in you, because people want to work with you, and you've got yourself to where you are, so it's a good time to improve yourself and better yourself, really. So no, thank you, really appreciate your time. And if anybody wants to get in touch with Jack, we'll pop his details in the links afterwards. So thank you. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks. Pleasure being here. Cheers.